In this video, you can see a creepy little girl dressed as a ballerina, behaving really odd. The man who captured this video asks her, what is she doing in this strange location? That too, in the middle of the night. But without replying him, she slowly dances her way off, hiding behind a wall in an even more creepy way. The story you are about to see is a dramatized version of this real-life footage.
Please tell us. Please, Grandpa.
I promise we won't be scared. We're grown-ups now, Gran.
Okay.
I was sitting in front of the fire, sipping brandy when my two grandchildren, Joshua and Martha, started pleading with me to tell them a scary story. I have had quite a share of bizarre and spooky incidents throughout my life, especially in those days when I worked as a night security guard. I remained silent, thought for a second, and then said,
This incident is probably the weirdest and also scariest one that I faced in my night shift working in a morgue.
Whoa, bring it on.
I smiled seeing Martha's excitement and went on with my story. The morgue I worked in was located on the outskirts of town, unlike the common morgues, which are generally situated within a hospital premise. This one was different from all. Here, the bodies were stored to be sent off to the funeral homes after being declared accidental deaths. My job was to make round around the morgue facility to prevent all kinds of illegal trespassing after the closing hours. The only reason I took the job was the good pay and also the fact that I never had to step inside the morgue. My work concentrated on the outside premises. There was a small tool shed near the gate, which was transferred into a security room for me to sit and rest in between my rounds. It was a mundane Tuesday night. I was finishing a leftover sandwich after starting my second round when I heard a hissing sound.
Psst. Psst.
I came out from the tool shed, and as my eyes noticed the main gate, I got goosebumps. A homeless old woman with no hair or eyebrows was sitting in a crouching position outside the gate and calling out to me.
Psst. Psst.
Hello? Do you need anything?
My daughter just sneaked inside while playing on the street. Please let me in so I can call her.
Your daughter?
Yes, she's dressed as a ballerina.
Ma'am, I don't think a kid can get in here.
I'm telling you, she ran away. She is hiding in the dark. She loves dancing in the dark.
No matter how freaky this woman sounded, I still decided to check the premise. Because if a kid has entered this place, then I must escort her to her mother. So I went back to the shed, grabbed my flashlight, and began the search. The premise was so big that it took 15 to 20 minutes walking to finish one round. Though there was a big light post scattered throughout the facility, I still preferred carrying my flashlight just in case. I walked for 10 minutes straight without spotting any little girl. Just when I was on the verge of giving up, I heard the voice of a little girl, reiterating a nursery rhyme.
The itsy bitsy spider crawled up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.
Oh, who's there?
I asked loudly, and the rhyme stopped. Drops of sweat appeared on my forehead. I asked again.
You know, you can't be here, little girl. Your mom is looking for you.
Just then, running footsteps brushed behind me with the creepy laugh of a 5 or 6-year-old. I immediately turned around and to my surprise, saw a little girl dressed as a ballerina standing at some distance. Her head was down to the ground and she grabbed her dirty, flowy skirt from both hands, with her small, filthy hands striking a ballet pose as if she will start dancing any minute now.
How did you get in?
From the hole in the wall.
There's a hole in the wall? Where?
Right there.
Saying this, she lifted her hand and pointed towards the dark corner on her left. I thought, once I take her out, I will check the spot she just talked about. So, I took one step toward her when she chuckled in a very creepy way and said something that made my skin crawl.
I want to peel all your skin off.
What? What did you say?
She suddenly started to dance like a zombie ballerina, sliding her leg one after the other and slowly disappearing into the dark corner. Not knowing what to do next, I stood there in fear. I honestly didn't have the guts to follow the kid. Once she hid in the dark corner, I heard her singing that rhyme again.
The itsy bitsy spider crawled up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And a itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.
Look, you can't stay here at night, so come with me. Your mom is waiting for you. Come on.
She got silent again, and gathering all my strength, I turned on the flashlight and walked to the dark corner. There was a wall separating the corner from the fence. As I peeked behind the wall, I saw the little girl sitting on the ground now. She had her arms crossed onto her knees and buried her face inside them as if someone has scolded her. I flashed my light on her, and she suddenly lifted her face and looked at me. What I saw still gives me nightmares. For the past 20 minutes, whom I have been mistaking for a 5-year-old little girl, is an old, freaky-looking woman with the rare condition of dwarfism. Her teeth were falling off in places. Her pale, wrinkled skin made her look vicious in that attire of a ballerina. She laughed and spoke to me, but this time, her voice changed drastically.
Looks like my sister and I have scared the hell out of you. Don't mind. This is what we old women do for fun at times. We get so bored, you know.
I screamed at the top of my lungs and turned to run away. The dwarf old woman too got up and started to chase me while singing the nursery rhyme.
The itsy bitsy spider crawled up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.
I ran at full speed straight to my tool shed. I noticed the gate, and the other old woman was still sitting outside it with an eerie smile on her face. I got in and slammed the door of the shed, locking it from the inside. The ballerina stopped outside my window, blew me a kiss, and then ran away like a kid. I didn't peek out from my window to check if the two sick, crazy sisters are gone. I stayed inside the tool shed till the morning lights hit the premises. When the morgue director came, I handed him over the keys, told him to repair the hole in the wall, and left my job. A spooky silence stayed in the room once I finished my story. Both Martha and Joshua looked scared to their cores. Neither of them spoke and went to bed with scary bedtime stories imprinted in their minds forever. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later. Enjoy. In the video, you can see the security guard of this cemetery noticing a weird old woman sitting in front of a grave. She behaves in a creepy way when the guard calls out to her. Here is a dramatized version, loosely based on this scary real footage, of a security guard finding an old woman inside a cemetery past midnight under suspicious circumstances.
So, what brings a young fellow like you to this small town? Well, honestly, I wish to be an artist and needed a calm and quiet place for my work. I see. How long have you been living here, Mr. Mayor? Too long to remember, I think. I'm looking for a part-time job as well. Any vacancies you know about? Well, I know Carmen the pig farm guy is looking for a butcher, but I don't think you would like that job much.
I smiled awkwardly, hearing the town mayor laugh. We both remained silent for a few seconds. Then Mr. Laving said,
There's another opening, a job of a security guard. Great! That works for me. But it's a little different than any other safeguarding jobs. Why is that? We have this town cemetery which is facing a lot of vandalism and suspicious activities. High school kids sneak in there to do all kinds of stupid stuff. So for quite a while I was trying to appoint someone there, but no one in this town prefers roaming in a cemetery after dark. The pay is good, but you will be working in a graveyard shift that is also in a graveyard.
The job description suited me well. I could concentrate on my artwork all day and work at night from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. So within a week, this matter got settled as I accepted the job. Mr. Laving paid me well from the town fund, and I became the night guard at the town cemetery. On the day of the first shift, Mr. Laving took me to the cemetery to show me around. On the tall, rusty iron gate, the name of the cemetery was written. High Hopes, since 1940s.
Wow, this place has been here for a really long time.
We entered the cemetery, and I could see displays of tombstones in rows and columns. I had no idea how huge this place was until we walked in. I won't lie, but even in the daylight, roaming around the place made me feel a little weird. There was only one gate of the cemetery, and stone benches scattered around the area for people to sit when they visited their deceased loved ones. Looking around with suspicious eyes, Mr. Laving said,
Be here at 11 p.m. sharp. In case of anything spooky happens, feel free to call me. Nice one, Mr. Laving, but I don't believe in ghosts.
He stared at me for a second and then said in a mysterious voice,
Let me tell you, my boy, this place looks like another world after sundown.
Around 10:45, I left my house with a flashlight and a hunting knife just in case Mr. Laving was right. The town was so damn quiet after dark. When I reached the cemetery and stared at the old gate, I can't lie, it did give me goosebumps. As I pushed the rusty gate, with a creaking sound, it opened, and a couple of bats flew away from a nearby tree. A coyote howled in the woods, followed by a hooting owl. The ambiance was lit, no doubt.
Perfect for a horror movie,
I said to myself. Turning on my flashlight, I started my rounds. The place was so silent that I could hear my breathing and my footsteps. For 5 minutes straight, nothing happened. I was settling in well with the new environment when suddenly I heard a weeping sound. A voice of a weeping woman echoed. I followed the sound and came to the other end of the cemetery. As I flashed my light onto a grave, I saw an old woman sitting on a bench right in front of that grave. She had gray short hair and was weeping sitting in front of that grave.
Ma'am, the visiting hours are in the morning. You shouldn't be here at this time. Ma'am?
She stopped weeping, slowly turned her face towards me, and looked me in the eyes. I swear, anyone else would have run away at that moment, but I just stood there with mixed feelings. After staring at me without blinking once, the woman said,
The voices told me to come here and see him.
What? See who?
A creepy smile appeared on her face, and she said,
Do you know how many of them want to exchange places with you right now?
The hair at the back of my neck stood up. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest.
What do you mean?
After all, who enjoys living in a box?
Ma'am, you should be going home. I can help to show you the way.
What if I don't have a home?
The woman didn't look like a homeless person, but the way she talked made her look like a deranged lunatic, no doubt.
Well, if you are homeless, I can talk to Mayor Laving.
Do you believe in helping the homeless?
Yes, of course.
Then take me home with you.
I wasn't expecting our weird conversation to take an even more weird turn. So her answer shocked me. Something was wrong with her, which made me scared to go near her.
Ma'am, that's not possible. Let me just call the mayor. I'm sure he'll come up with something for you.
But if I followed you home, would you keep me?
God, I think you need some medical help, ma'am. I'm calling the mayor.
I was 1 sec away to dial the mayor when she got up from her seat and turned towards. She suddenly began laughing. Her body stood still like a log. Only her face moved. It was so creepy to witness her behavior like that. Suddenly, she slapped herself. Wham! Right on the cheek, and screamed in a man's voice.
You promised you wouldn't be like this. You promised, Samantha.
Who gave you the right to slap me?
I am your husband.
But you're the one who left me when I needed you.
You know I had to. No one can live forever.
But you promised me we would never be apart. You said you loved me, Gerald. Gerald?
As freaky as it was to watch her having this entire conversation with herself while speaking in two distinctive voices, I had no idea what to do and how to react. She started screaming for Gerald and then turned around to follow someone invisible standing in the dark.
Gerald? Gerald, please don't go away. I promise I'll behave. Please come back.
She began to run, and I was so worried for her because, by that time, I have got some idea what is wrong with her.
Ma'am, stop, please!
I ran behind her because she was old and sick, and it would have been cruel if I left her that night. After chasing the air for a minute straight, she let out a painful scream and fainted on the ground.
Ah!
What I found out later still brings tears to my eyes. The woman's name was Judith Laving. She was the old aunt of Mr. Laving. Last week, she lost her husband, Gerald Laving, to cancer, and since then, started having hallucinations about her deceased husband. It was the first time she left home in the middle of the night to visit her husband's grave. Seeing one person talk in behalf of two was surely the most bewitching experience of my life. Mr. Laving and his family later sent her to a mental institution, so she doesn't scare anyone else in the town, as she did to me. I am continuing my job in the cemetery, and even though Judith is gone from this town, every night at my rounds, I get scared thinking I will see her sitting near her husband's grave with a creepy grin.
No mames.
As a matter of routine, aircraft security guards are required to inspect aircraft before the public boards them. What this security guard didn't know is that he would be accompanied on this inspection. The story you are about to see is a dramatized version of this real-life footage. Being an airplane security guard was never my dream job. I knew a lot of people who enjoyed being a guard, who loved the danger, and went into the job expecting a lot more action than what was actually there. Me, I knew what to expect. Teenagers making out in the bathroom, the occasional drunk person, and maybe some lost kids. I used to think that was the ideal job, until the day I discovered that when danger is near, not everyone is cut out to be a security guard. This is routine for all airlines, to check for stowaways or anyone who might want to harm the rest of the passengers. These walks would not usually take more than a few minutes. Get in, turn around, and leave. That was my least favorite part of the job. I admit it, I'm a bit of a scary cat, and entering a dark plane, even a harmless one, terrified me. But that day, I was dying to go check the planes. Not because I felt brave or because I wanted to do a good job, but because outside the plane, something terrified me even more. From the beginning of the day, a man was sitting at the airport, staring at me. At first it seemed strange and had made me a little uncomfortable, but no more than that. But when almost an hour had passed, and that man was still there, watching every move I made, I became frantic.
Hey, if he looks at you so much, why don't you go say something to him? Are you crazy? Just look at him.
The person didn't look exercised. He even looked like he had some kind of deformity. But even so, his body looked huge and imposing.
Maybe he's in love with you. Do you want me to go ask him for his number for you? Hey, shut up! He might hear us. Joseph, are you out of your mind? We're 20 meters away in an airport. There's no way he can hear us. I know, but it's still scary. Oh my God.
Without saying anything else, my partner went in the direction of the man, and in the distance, I saw him talking to him. I remember thinking that the man remained calm while my partner was talking to him. He even gave him the documentation he asked for. But all this made me even more afraid. Even with my partner next to him talking to him, he was still looking at me. A few seconds later, my partner came back.
Well, the good news is that he's clean. He's expecting a ride in an hour. Well, I don't need you to tell me the bad news. I already figured that out. I know, but he'll tell you anyway. That man didn't look back at me anytime. He only looked at you. Okay, that's enough. What will you do? Will you face him? Hell no! I'm gonna ask the boss to make me go clean the toilets or do something else. Classic Joseph.
My partner thought it was a joke and that I really wasn't scared of the man, but he was wrong. I was horrified. My manager had compassion and allowed me to go check on the planes before they left. Sometime later, I realized that this decision was terrible, because not only was I entering a dark and cramped place, but also I was completely alone. Or at least that's what I would have liked to believe. I began to explore the plane. Although by now it's routine, I still can't get used to doing it alone. A new rule of the administration to avoid wasting people. I walked to the bathroom, looking at all the seats on the sides without meeting anyone. When I was in front of the bathroom door, a noise almost made my heart stop. Was there someone inside the bathroom? I knocked on the door, but there was no answer, and the noise continued as if nothing had happened. It was faint, but I could hear it. I gathered all my courage and violently opened the bathroom door, and to my surprise, I found myself face to face with the author of the noise, a simple insect.
And how the hell did you get here?
I breathed calmly, closed the bathroom door, and prepared to return. I walked quickly towards the entrance, but something stopped my steps and paralyzed my body. A huge shadow was poking its head out of the exit door. I regained my body's energy and quickly ran to the bathroom, not realizing that I was closing myself in even more. The shadow stopped looming and showed me his full body. It was the man from before, who had somehow snuck onto the plane.
Sir, get out of here. This place is private.
From the other side, there was no response. The man remained completely frozen, looking at me with his huge and imposing eyes. I pulled out my radio and began to speak in agitation, hoping to scare the man.
Hey, it's Ramirez. I have a situation on the plane. A man got on without authorization, and I can't get him off. Could you send someone, please? Yeah, of course, man. We'll send someone right away. Hey, I've already called someone. Go away, or we'll get you out together.
Still, without saying anything, the man started to walk slowly toward me.
Whoa. Stop, or I'll have to use force.
All of a sudden, the man was ahead of me, still staring at me with his expressionless and gloomy face.
Sir, get away!
Without letting me finish, the man grabbed my neck with one hand. He had incredible strength. Effortlessly, he lifted me into the air, and when I thought he was going to kill me, he threw me against the seats. Even though I didn't hit anything solid, my back hurt a lot. Before I could react and get up, the man was next to me again. He brought his hands to my face and violently pressed his fingers over my eyes. The pain was indescribable. I felt like I was going to die at that very moment, and I didn't even understand why. Luckily, I was able to give him a lucky kick in the man's crotch, which stopped him long enough for me to run away. I locked the door of the plane from the outside and kept running, looking for help. When my partners arrived with the police, they entered the plane with guns. Finding him was not difficult. The man was just sitting on the toilet, staring blankly. They took him away, and he did not put up any resistance. He was just gone. Shortly after, I was informed that the man was not under the effect of any drug. He was not a psychiatric patient, and they could not even identify him with his ID. It was as if nothing made sense. As if the dead himself had decided to visit me. No one ever understood how this man got his plane ticket, or why he did what he did. I didn't ask what happened to him and decided to quit the next day. From now on, I would only look for office jobs. Never again would I expose myself to the unknown.